Hello, everybody. This is the July Patreon live stream for DSNY Newscast here on Patreon. I know a lot of people won't be joining until, I don't know, a couple of minutes in. So what I'll do to begin with is I'll get to the Patreon-only questions, people who have left questions there for me to answer on Patreon. And then from there, we'll dive into the topic that we're going to discuss for today. Feel free to, I've got Isaac from What's Over Videos there saying, howdy, Walters. Hi there, Isaac. I'm probably not going to be nearly as good as you with your live streams there, but let's give it a go. I'm getting used to the whole live stream idea, so let's give this a go. Right, let me just jump into the Patreon app. Right, so the first question we've got from Don Duncan, and Don says... All right, so it's a fairly lengthy one, but Don says he's read 2 articles about Volcano Bay stealing some of the market share from the water parks of Disney, Typhoon Lagoon and also Blizzard Beach. Now, do you think that Disney should take over this market? Do you think they should become more competitive within the water park market in Orlando? Or do you think they should just allow Volcano Bay to become the #1 water park? Now, personally, I haven't been to Volcano Bay. I've been to Typhoon Lagoon, and that's personally my favorite water park in Walt Disney World, just because the wave pool is so great. Blizzard Beach doesn't really have it, in my own personal opinion, compared to Typhoon Lagoon. But in terms of the water park market, I personally feel, this is only my own personal feeling, that Typhoon Lagoon is still the #1. Volcano Bay, from what I've heard from my brother who went there last year, he loved it, but the wave pool there isn't nearly as strong as obviously Typhoon Lagoons, but they have an awful lot more slides. I mean, it's a very saturated market within Orlando for water parks just because of the amazing climate. But still, I feel that Disney should focus and double down more on the Disney park aspect of things rather than just focusing on water parks. I mean, yeah, Comcast and Universal can go ahead and say that Volcano Bay is a 3rd park, but we all know that realistically it's not a 3rd park. It's a water park. So that's part 1 of that question sort of answered there. But the second part of the question comes onto the gaming community idea, and do we think that Disney should become more competitive within the within gaming community in general? Now, I've seen Rob Plays and other YouTubers speak out on what Disney should do within the gaming market. And personally, I would like to see Disney focus primarily on movies, animation. I mean, God knows they've got enough movie studios under their own ownership to focus on. So I'd rather them focus on maybe Lucasfilm and Marvel have got their thing going on, instead of actually trying to get into a hyper-competitive market like the gaming industry. Personally, I don't see much benefit of Disney doing it all in-house. There's only so much they can do. And my own personal concern is that with the 21st Century Fox acquisition that we're going to see, completed in the next year or so, Disney's growing at a rapid rate, and it's making me a little bit concerned that they're going to move too far away from Disney parks and focusing on, their bread and butter, which is the Disney parks, Disney movies, Disney characters, great merchandise, things like that. And they're going to end up trying to do too much all at once. And when that happens, I feel that corporations tend to struggle quite a bit. So I've got my own reservations about the whole 21st Century Fox acquisition. I personally, I don't know what you guys think. Leave your comment right there in the comment box, in the chat box. But I personally feel that 21st Century Fox, if I was Bob Iger, amazing job that is, I would have passed on 21st Century Fox, just because after looking through the whole movie catalog, what 21st Century Fox has, yes, it has Avatar, it has Planet of the Apes, it has a lot of the Marvel X-Men and things like that, Deadpool, to bring back into the catalog. It's not worth, to me, $72 billion. Star Wars, they bought that for $4 billion, and look what kind of return it's given them. Is Fox going to give them the same return? Is it going to give them the same amount of power within the streaming market? it's very questionable, their strategy. That's my own personal opinion. I'd rather see them double down on original content, expanded universes, you know, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for Marvel and things like that. And then, you know, the new live Star Wars shows. I think those two alone will bring people over to the streaming service rather than having to buy as much content as possible. I mean, how often do we go back and watch really old movies of 21st Century Fox and things like that? I mean, yes, it's a big catalog, but it won't be complete. So I don't know whether Disney should go through with this acquisition. They clearly are going to, though. Right, let's move on to the next question. I'm seeing Stephen Pinn here. He's just commented. Let me just get to this one. Do you think we will see Frozen Land or Neverland, as in the Tokyo Disney lands which are being built, exist at Walt Disney World? Or will we have to wait for a fifth park, or maybe never at all? Now, personally, I can't see them building a Neverland, as in like a Peter Pan themed land at Walt Disney World. Number one, Fantasyland, it's already been expanded fairly in a fairly good way. I can't really see them building a fifth park at Walt Disney World, at least for another 20 years or so. Just because, as I've said before, the cycle that they're on, I mean, they've already got 4 parks to keep up to date. I mean, they took their foot off the pedal with Disney's Hollywood Studios, and look what happened. We can all see how that park has recently going through this massive renovation because they didn't add anything to that park for such a long time. So I feel that expanding it out to 5 parks will just mean that we end up with less updates in each one of the parks. And I would rather see more updates and expanding out in Epcot and Animal Kingdom, and with a Zootopia land maybe, or, you know, an Indiana Jones themed land, whatever it's going to be, even expanding Avatar out a bit more. I'd rather see them expand what they've currently got rather than add another park to the mix. I mean, yes, Disney will probably want to add another park to the mix because obviously they can charge more money for the gates, you know, to get into a new park. But a half-done park is not really anything which is beneficial to, in my opinion. So I don't think we'll see Frozen come to Walt Disney World or Neverland come to Walt Disney World. However, there's that long-standing rumor that apparently we will see a Neverland, or it's been considered, by saying Neverland, not a Neverland, Frozen Land, sorry, is being considered for Disneyland in California. Now, my opinion on that is Toontown, no matter how great it is, if Disney have an amazing property like Frozen and it does amazing business with Frozen 2 coming out next year, we're going to see them move on a Frozen land in Disneyland. How beneficial it is to tie everything to just one IP, that's very questionable. Toy Story has, you know, 3, almost 4 movies, and it's its own immersive environment. But Frozen isn't an immersive environment, no more than Little Mermaid, Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast, you know, any of those movies are. So I know what they're doing, but I don't know if it's the most logical thing to do. We've got Andrew. Hi there, Andrew. Who do you think will replace Iger? Do you think it'll be Kathleen Kennedy? Do you think he'll fire Kathleen Kennedy? I think Disney lost big when Staggs left. Now, yeah, Tom Staggs. Look, Tom Staggs, I personally feel that Bob Chapek is he's doing a good job in terms of arguing to get the amount of money that Disney Parks needs. So he's making sure, you know, like Guardians of the Galaxy have a $300 million budget for that one attraction. He's making sure that, you know, Future World is being renovated. He's making sure that so many different things are going on. Now, the strategy of adding IP to every single aspect of a park is dangerous, like I've just said about Frozen. However, Kathleen Kennedy coming in, she's no spring chicken. She's not the youngest candidate to take over that role, and I don't realistically think she would even want to take on that role after Lucasfilm. I mean, you know, she'll probably have another 5 years. I don't think she'll be fired. Realistic, I've heard from insiders at you know, the Industrial Light and Magic division, which is owned by Lucasfilm, that apparently Kathleen Kennedy is staying about for quite a while. The whole Solo thing is being blamed more on the marketing campaign rather than Kathleen Kennedy's leadership. I personally would not really want to see them go down the route of more movies anthology-wise. I mean, only Obi-Wan Kenobi I could really stomach. I don't know why they would do a Boba Fett, and, you know, why not do a Yoda and a Chewbacca and a whole list of characters. Why don't we do all of them as anthology movies? I feel that there's so much more to the Star Wars universe that they could expand, like they did with Marvel. So hopefully that answers your question, Andrew. I don't know, what's your opinion? Would you want to see Kathleen Kennedy fired? And if so, who would you have take over her place? Right, John Schumacher says, I honestly wish they would add a thrill ride park more along the lines of Islands of Adventure with Universal at Disney World, an entire park of thrill rides for just older kids and adults. Doubtful they would, but I would love it. Yes. So in terms of the thrill ride idea, it's a difficult one. Like Epcot to me is an adult's park. You know, you've got food and wine, you've got the festivals there, you can drink around the world. It's an adult's park. And when I was younger, I didn't like Epcot as much. You know, I preferred Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. But to be honest, Epcot is the adult's park. You know, they are adding thrill rides to Epcot. They've got Mission Space, which is a G-Force, you know, simulator. You've got Test Track. You've got Guardians of the Galaxy coming in. Yes, I would like to see more thrill rides within Epcot. It was always the original plan to add more roller coasters to Epcot. I mean, you know, you had the bullet train idea. You had, even for Switzerland Pavilion, they had the idea, which we've spoken about in the previous Disney That Never Was, that they had the idea of adding a Matterhorn bobsleds attraction to Epcot. To me, it's the adults park already. Looking at Islands of Adventure and Universal, I don't really consider those to be two separate parks because they're joined via the, you know, Hogwarts Express service. I don't really see them as separate parks. Be interesting to see what you guys think. I mean, I should really do a debate between me and my brother about that. But I personally see Universal as just one massive park. I don't see it as much of an identity difference between Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios. Whereas you look at Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios, there's a distinct identity difference. That's what they need for different parks. Philip says, in a number of episodes, you reported on various patents or however you want to say it. I mean, I do vary between the two. In Britain, we do say patents, but patents for America, I do switch and change between the two because I try and remind myself to say it the American way. I sometimes slip back to the British way. But while we don't know how all of them, it's harder to see, it's hard to read there. While we don't know how all of them will be realized in the real world, but which ones are you most excited about? So, yeah, in terms of the patents I've reported on recently, I'm guessing you're talking about the Star Wars related ones, like the immersive hotel idea, you know, the Force Ghost idea, the lightsabers, the blaster guns, things like that. I think all of those will become a reality, to be honest. But what I'm most excited for isn't actually Star Wars related. It's more to do with drone technology. I've reported on in the past how Disney have patented ways to use characters in flight with drones. So you can create a massive Mickey Mouse or Beauty and the Beast dancing in the sky, that kind of idea. And I really could see that becoming a major aspect of nighttime show storytelling. I've seen recently that Mickey Views has reported on it's a rumor I haven't heard, about a nighttime parade coming to Epcot. I haven't heard that anywhere. No insiders have reported on that from what I know. I've reported on the nighttime illuminations refresh quite a bit, because that's definitely coming. Within the next 2 years, we're going to see that. And actually links to a question which I remember seeing from Bonnie, who says, let me just grab the question here. If the app doesn't freeze, 2 secs. Okay, it's just frozen. But it was basically about illuminations and reflections of Earth, and whether, when that comes to an end, that's not working. Let me just grab it here then instead. Thrilling Q&A. Right, okay, right. Right. Do you think that Illuminations, Reflections of Earth, will have a final announced date, or do you think Disney will just do like a Spectro Magic and have a final announced date, or will it be just a final showing and not tell anyone about it? I will miss it. So emotional that it deserves a graceful exit. Now, if Disney are, and they will, Illuminations, Reflections of Earth is definitely coming to an end. It's had a long run. It's had a good 18-year run, Reflections of Earth. They are definitely, my personal opinion, not stated anywhere, but Disney never miss an opportunity for big marketing last push, especially this current Disney with Bob Chapek. So I could definitely see them doing, like they did with the Great Movie Ride, last chance to ride, that kind of thing. It'll be the last Illuminations merchandise, and then they'll have probably a one or 2 month grace period before they launch the new one. And they'll probably launch it. I really have no idea when they'll launch it, but it would be nice if they launched it on October 1st, much like Reflections of Earth launched on October 1st back in 2000. So, they will more than likely give everybody prior warning before it goes away. And of course, I will be doing a video on it to let everybody know exactly when that date's happening. Like A Bug's Land is going away in California, September 4th. I guarantee you Disney will be putting out some merchandise saying, it was even tougher to be a bug or something like that within Disney California Adventure Park, because it's just people who love that land will want to buy that merchandise one last time. Hi, Jack. This comes from Michael Murray saying, hi, Jack. With Disney Junior being such a huge success, why aren't there more representation in the parks? I guess the new DHS dance party is something. Yeah, it's difficult, because when it comes to Disney Junior, anybody who doesn't have kids doesn't know the content. I mean, I don't watch Disney Junior content. I don't watch Disney Channel. I mean, I used to when I was 13, 14 years old, but if you're of a certain age, you don't watch that content anymore. So yes, they have the element, but it doesn't have to be Disney Junior branded to make it successful. I mean, this new Cars show being announced for Disney's Hollywood Studios, which is the Lightning McQueen, meet and greet kind of aspect over in the Sunset Showcase at the end of Sunset Boulevard with Tower of Terror. That will be very kid friendly. That will be primarily, it's meant to be like a honey trap, trying to get as many parents and young kids to get to that venue, trying to pull them away from Galaxy's Edge, trying to pull them away from Toy Story Land, just trying to pull people up Sunset Boulevard, away from what will be a very packed zone. I'm very concerned about Disney's Hollywood Studios layout. It was always a questionable layout. And I think this is one of the main issues that they've got with Toy Story Land, which is they were hoping that the entrance, which a lot of people will end up using, which is from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge into Toy Story Land, if you actually look at it, it has a larger area for a reason, because they want to push people out into that land, and like it's a holding area. So therefore people can go out through that land and then into Toy Story Land and go through. At the moment, it's a dead end, and it's a real issue for, you know, people reaching the end of it, doubling back and going back. You know, it's not a great guest flow. I personally feel that I've said that an awful lot. Obviously, it's my own personal opinion, but it would have been better if they would have created some sort of just one area where they can walk past Slinky Dog Dash, underneath part of the track, you know, have the netting above for, you know, any issues like that, and almost walk around and through. It would just create a bit more dynamic flow through the land. So therefore, people don't walk down towards Slinky Dog Dash, stop, turn around, come back. Same way with Alien Swirling Saucers, stop there, come back. It's not great for when you're discovering a land. I mean, you look at New Fantasyland, they did it brilliantly. You walk around and it joins up with the rest of the park. What do you think of James Gunn being fired from Disney? Okay, that's a good question. Now, I've read into all of the tweets, and to be honest, they were weird tweets. They were just, there's no way to put it, really. I'm not going to address it in a formal newscast. I'll address it here in a live stream. But I read those tweets and I thought, you know, they weren't even funny. It's just strange. I mean, if it's what his defense is of it being a private joke between him and his friends, why did he do it on Twitter? Do it on a Facebook Messenger, or, you know, back in 2010. But then again, people didn't know how to use. You'll use the argument people didn't know how to use Twitter back in 2010. Well, it was 2 years into it being something. So it has evolved, obviously, but he's also had many years to delete the tweets. I mean, this isn't the first time these tweets have surfaced. They first surfaced back in 2014 when Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 came out, and he had time to delete these tweets back then. So, you know, why Disney haven't been hotter on this to say delete the tweets? It's odd. Personally, I just hope that I feel that a director of a movie can switch and change a little bit as long as the script is good. So I just hope the script has been nailed in. And, you know, a Lord and Miller or you know, Russo brothers could easily direct a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Disney are not going to be cancelling the Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster project. And they're, you know, that franchise is too popular and there's too much money on the table for Disney to remove it. You know, I've watched Screen Junkies news talk about this, and that they think it's more politically motivated. That, you know, the people who have raised these tweets again, their motives behind it were maybe just to try and take down someone within the Disney sphere because of the whole Roxanne thing, you know, ABC. But I just wish, number one, that Disney would have maybe waited maybe a day or two longer. Not such a knee-jerk reaction. Because, you know, they are only tweets at the end of the day, and we can all write stupid things. What he was joking about, it can't be excused. It's disgusting, and it was weird. So I don't know. It's a difficult one, but if I don't really see Guardians of the Galaxy being in jeopardy because James Gunn has gone. He's served Marvel very well, but likewise, I like Chris Pratt an awful lot. I think, you know, after 2 movies, Dave Bautista, Zoe Saldana, Bradley Cooper, you know, Vin Diesel, yeah, they've all got a good grasp on their characters now, and as long as the script is good, it will still be a great movie. Anyway, so right, Michael says, "Are you shocked Disney is bringing back Clone Wars?" Bit of positive news here, bit nicer news. Do you think this is a knee-jerk reaction to the poor reception of The Last Jedi or Solo? I don't think it's a knee-jerk reaction. I think this is something that has been in the pipeline for quite a while. To bring back a series like this is not something they can do even as a knee-jerk reaction necessarily. It's come at a perfect time. You raise a good point. It's come at a perfect time. You know, it built up a lot of good fan will within the community, and yeah, Solo. I didn't feel that Solo was a bad movie. I liked Last Jedi, as I said on my newscast. Disney this is my whole issue, and it's 21st Century Fox related. It's things like that. I struggle because from a news point of view, it's more exciting for me. There's more stuff to cover, which is great. But on the other end of things, it's more complicated, and Disney need to watch where they step next. You know, they cover so much nowadays. I don't. What's your opinion? Would you rather Disney refocus back towards animation, live action, and parks, or do you like all of the time that Lucasfilm and Marvel uses up within the Disney sphere? Disney to me is still, you know, animated classics. That's what I think of. And I think if you ask most people, that's what they think of. But you know, more and more Marvel and Lucasfilm is coming into the mix. Josh Dog says, I'm not 100% sure if you've mentioned this in a newscast, but have you seen Ant-Man and the Wasp yet? And what was your opinion? How do you think this will tie into Avengers 4? Now, yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp doesn't come out in the UK till August 3rd. So once again, Disney have decided to screw over us guys in the UK. I don't get the reason why they don't release movies at the same time. You know, it's annoying for me because I have to keep away from spoilers. I mean, that Jack thing in Incredibles 2, I loved that movie, but why didn't they release it the same weekend? You know, this whole world of ours is so connected and so much smaller nowadays than it's ever been. News will fly in an instant straight to you. They need to get a grip on trying to get these release schedules out at the same time, especially in English-speaking countries. I can't comment on Ant-Man and the Wasp until then. But Avengers 4, I personally would have liked to see Avengers 4 come out around 6 months after Avengers 3, you know, Infinity War. I'd have liked Disney not to even announce that Avengers 4 is coming out, just have a TBA and just suddenly drop it like with a week's notice. It would have been a great marketing, you know, like viral marketing thing. A lot of people would have also believed that Thanos, you know, the whole thing, you know, they wouldn't have believed there's an Avengers 4 that will fix it all. It would leave people a little bit like Empire Strikes Back, where they felt, you know, what was all that about? Then instead, people came out of the cinema going, oh, it's going to be okay because there's another movie, which damages the marketing. By the way, Clone Wars is one of my favorite shows, so I'm wicked excited. Yeah, well, I don't actually watch the Star Wars animated content, but I've seen clips of it, and so I get why you'd be excited about it. I'm very much like with Star Wars, it's just movies for me, and I'll watch the live action TV show when it comes about. But I've never got into Clone Wars. I probably should start watching it. It looked like a great trailer. It felt very much like that kind of gritty Force Awakens, you know, vibe. They cut it really nicely with the helmets coming out, and it was really great. I liked that. Right, so Josh Dog says, look up Seamus Gorman. He has a video on these later releases. Okay, we'll do. How many acres is Hollywood Land, Bugs Land, and backstage at Disney California Adventure? Jim Hill tweeted that they might even demolish the Frozen Theatre, and Bob Chapek wants to make galaxies. To make Marvel Land as immersive as Galaxy's Edge. Right. So yeah, the plan for Marvel Land at DCA at the moment. I'll probably wrap it up after this question because we've been talking for quite a while. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I haven't even got to the updates on different stuff actually, so I'll do that afterwards. But anyway, Marvel Land at DCA, it's going to encompass Bugs Land to begin with. Then they're going to move on down. It's going to move around. Apparently the area where, you know, the backlot courtyard area with Muppets, the former Muppets attraction, and Monsters Inc. That will be going. Frozen sits there right in the middle of everything. I personally feel that they could leave that where it is, and maybe even after Frozen has run its course in the next, you know, 2 years or so, they might even consider putting a Marvel stunt show or Marvel show of some sort, a bit in like the same way as in Disneyland Paris that we've covered, Superheroes United, into that space. that would be an interesting idea, and maybe theme the outside of a building to maybe more of a brick texture to make it look a bit more like downtown Manhattan or something like that, and maybe make it a Spider-Man stunt show. That's just me brainstorming and you know, guessing, but I haven't heard anything about Frozen being taken away yet. So, but it is right in the middle of where Marvel will go. So who knows what the future of that show is. It's been met with a fairly good response, but it was nowhere near as popular, I don't think, as Aladdin was in that same space. So they might be looking to change it to Marvel soon. I don't know. Okay, so in terms of August, I am going to be taking some time off in August because obviously at the end of August, I will be in Walt Disney World, which is only 35 days away at the moment. So I'm almost at the 30-day mark where I can start booking fast passes and stuff like that. Oh, quick little error about the calendar, which I've sent out now, you know, like the countdown to Disney trip idea. I had the two dates for 90 days and 60 days where it says book your fast passes Disney hotels only, and then book your fast passes if you've got a normal non-Disney hotel ticket. Those were on 90 days and 60 days. They should have been 60 days and 30 days, obviously. But when I did it in Photoshop, I accidentally dropped them into the wrong thing and never corrected it. Because originally I was only going to do a 60-day calendar, and then I decided to do 90 days and it messed up the whole thing. So sorry about that, but the calendar in general, I've been marking off my days. It's something that I used to do when I was as a kid with my family. I thought it'd be a great thing to do, bring back for DSNY Newscast. Because there's many families out there that watch DSNY Newscast, and I thought it's a great way to build excitement towards a holiday, knowing how many days you've got left to go. Because we all do. We all count down how many days we've got to go to Disney. So 35 days for me until I go. You deserve a good rest and a vacation. Thanks, Guy. I do need a rest. But the reason why I'm actually taking the break in August is because, and I'll explain this in a new newscast in the next week or two, but it's because the news at the moment is very slow. You might have noticed because I'm covering like Star Wars patents and things like that. And it's just slow at the moment. So I hope you guys don't mind, but I will be taking a bit of a break. I don't know what I'll be doing in that time. I might be doing more live Q&As. I'm yet to decide whether I'll do live Q&As for maybe a Thursday every week for like 3 weeks, and then nothing until I get back off holiday. Or I might, and then maybe supplement it by posting one Patreon video, one of three Patreon videos. So, you know, the earliest ones, like the ones from back in Jan and Feb, those ones will go live to everybody. So, you know, it's not like the most recent content is out there for everybody. It's just like the content you guys all saw back in January. So Chicago Main Street, what if Disney from what if Cinderella bombed at the box office, that kind of thing will go out live to everybody within August, just as like an additional bonus to try and keep the channel live within that time span. But I probably will take a full like 2 weeks off altogether without doing anything. Just number one, whilst I'm away. I'm also, whilst I'm away, going to do some live streams inside the parks in terms of just on Twitter, you know, via Periscope, or on Instagram. Just go live on Instagram as I'm walking out of the park. So expect that. And also another thing which I will be doing is I might even do like a Patreon only live stream within the parks, which might be a good idea to do that. And then the other thing which I'll be doing whilst I'm out in Walt Disney World is obviously I'll be filming a DSNY newscast within the parks. So in addition to all of the vlogs, you know, the daily vlogs you'll get after I get back in September, the first week of September, on September 4th, there'll be a DSNY newscast from inside Walt Disney World, a bit like what I did in Disneyland Paris last year. But most of the time going to be spent walking around the parks, enjoying the parks, getting good B-roll footage for the DSNY newscast, and just generally, you know, enjoying the parks. If you spot me out in Walt Disney World, please say hi, because, you know, I don't know what you guys look like. So, you know, I'll be wearing a Waltonier shirt, or, you know, I'll look fairly recognizable, hopefully. just come over, tap me on the shoulder, say hi, and we'll take a photo and we'll have a quick chat, and it will be good. But you know, when I got back from Disneyland Paris last year, I had a couple of people who reached out to me and said, "I saw you in Disneyland Paris. Didn't want to say hello. You know, I didn't say hello because, you know, I was too nervous." I'm only a person at the end of the day, and this channel is nothing without you guys. So just say hello, wave at me, give me a wave, and I'll give you a wave back. I'll come over or something. There's only one way I'll know whether you know who I am or not, is just by saying hello. So yeah, it should be a great time. What's so videos? Isaac says, have fun at Walt Disney World. Hope you have a great time in America. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back out to America. And when are you coming to Disneyland for meet and greet with fans out west? I'm hopefully getting back out to Disneyland next year. Maybe D23 Expo, trying to work out what I'm doing for D23 Expo, whether it's stay here and cover it from home in the UK like I did last year, or whether, if we can get a media booth or not, film live broadcasts from D23 Expo. It's a bit up in the air at the moment. We're trying to work out what we'll do. But still, it's something I'm working on for next year. Definitely want to get out to Disneyland next year because obviously Galaxy's Edge. I mean, of course I'm going to want to get out to Disneyland next year because it'll be open way before Walt Disney World. Walt Disney World's Galaxy's Edge is looking to open in November. If not, you know, if it slips into December. But I expect to be open in November. But either way, I will be coming out to Disneyland instead of Walt Disney World next year. So, yeah, I can't wait for that. And I can't wait to get out to Walt Disney World, to be honest. So it's going to be a fantastic time. I'll be doing another Patreon live stream in August sometime. So you'll see me pop up then. The content will still come on Patreon, as in new Disney that never was for August. What if Disney will be coming in July? And yeah, that's the plan at the moment. Hopefully you've all received your membership gifts, or they'll be arriving there soon. I sent them out around a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So with international postage, it sometimes takes a little bit longer to get to you, but rest assured it's coming, it's on its way. I sent them in really thick cardboard tubes. I bought the thickest cardboard tubes possible, hoping that would be waterproof and keep its rigidity so it doesn't get crumpled, the posters and the artwork posters and stuff like that. And the pillows for the gold member patrons, they are coming out as well. You'll be receiving those hopefully before the end of July. If not, it might be a day or two after, depending on how fast the company moves on making them. But anyway,